It started with a clock that never worked. Every day, it ticked, but never moved forward. In a small, quiet town named Marwood, time seemed to hold its breath. The streets looked the same for years. The bakery still smelled like burnt sugar and bread. The same cat slept on the same windowsill of the same old bookstore. And every morning, Eleanor Reeves walked down the same road. Gray coat, quiet eyes, and a bag filled with yesterday's mail. She worked at the post office. Not because she loved letters, but because there was nothing else to do in Marwood. There hadn't been for years. The town was surrounded by woods that no one entered. Not because they were dangerous, but because they were simply there. Old, thick, patient. Like the town itself, the forest waited for nothing. People here were kind, but slow. Not lazy slow, just tired slow. The kind of tired that grows from living the same day over and over again. The only sound that ever changed was the church bell. It rang every morning at 8 a.m., then again at 6 p.m. every day. Even on days when no one remembered Eleanor had moved to Marwood when she was 21. Now she was 48. In between, not much had changed. Not even the cracked paint on the door of her small rented house near the post office. Her neighbors were still the same. Mr. Haynes, the barber, who talked more to his mirror than his customers. Mrs. Dalloway, who always asked about the weather, even when it was the same as yesterday. And the schoolteacher, Miss June, who taught the same history lessons every year to the same handful of children. Sometimes Eleanor wondered if she had fallen asleep years ago and was still dreaming. On the first Monday of October, something slightly unusual happened. A letter arrived without an address. It was cream-colored, sealed with red wax, and had no name on it. Only a single word. Tomorrow. Eleanor turned it over in her hands several times. No sender, no stamp, but it was heavy, heavier than it looked. She placed it on her desk, meaning to return it to the sender list. But something about it tugged at her mind. She decided to take it home. That night, she sat by her small window, rain falling outside, and opened it. Inside was a single page, blank, except for one sentence written in faint pencil. When was the last time you changed something? Eleanor frowned. The question felt strange in Marwood, a place where nothing changed. She placed the letter on her nightstand and went to sleep. The next morning, the clock outside the post office had stopped completely. No ticking, no sound, just silence. No one seemed to notice. Mr. Haynes still swept the same patch of floor. Mrs. Dalloway still asked about the weather. The church bell rang, but this time it sounded off, just a little slower. Eleanor felt uneasy. At lunch, she walked to the river at the edge of town, a place she hadn't visited in years. It looked the same, calm, brown, half asleep. She picked up a stone and threw it. The sound it made, the ripple, the splash, felt louder than it should have, as if the world had forgotten what knew sound. That night, another letter appeared on her doorstep. Same wax seal, same paper. This time it said, "Change something small." She stared at the words for a long time. The next morning, instead of her gray coat, she wore a red scarf she hadn't touched in years. Felt strange, like she was breaking a rule no one had spoken about. When she walked through the town, people looked at her differently. Not suspiciously, but curiously. Mrs. Dalloway paused mid-sentence. Mr. Haynes forgot what he was saying. Even the church bell rang early that day, by a few seconds. It was small, but over the next week, the letters kept coming, one every night, each with a new instruction. Move the clock forward. Say something new to someone old. Bake something you've never baked. Write a letter to yourself. And she did, one by one. Every change she made was tiny, almost invisible. But slowly, the town began to feel different. The bakery tried new recipes. Children played near the woods again. Someone painted the old bridge blue. The cat at the bookstore moved to a new windowsill. It wasn't magic. It was something smaller, quieter, like breathing after holding it too long. One morning, Eleanor looked up at the post office clock. It was moving again. Not fast, just enough. Tick, tock, tick. She smiled. But that night, when she came home, there was one last letter waiting. No wax seal this time, just her name, Eleanor Reeves. Inside, only 2 words. Thank you. No sender, no explanation, but she didn't need one. The next morning, when the church bell rang, the town of Marwood sounded alive. Still slow, still quiet, but somehow breathing again. And for the first time in years, Eleanor felt awake. That night, she sat by her window again, watching the lights flicker in the distance. The same rain fell, the same wind blew. But something had shifted, like time itself had remembered how to move. She closed her eyes and whispered softly to herself, "Tomorrow." The clock ticked. The rain whispered. And Marwood, the town that forgot to change, finally did.